Good morning. Welcome to another version of the NCCR podcast. I'm not DeVandis Smith, and this is not Kim Matson.
We are not those people.
We are not those people. We're not the droids.
Well, you are.
Well, I am.
You are. You are.
Welcome, Amanda.
Welcome, Kim.
How are you today?
Good. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy.
Or Tuesday.
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 Yeah, happy Tuesday.
I don't know what day of the week it is.
Well, it doesn't really matter. They're all kind of the same day.
Right? It's all blending together.
It's all one
We're light
big
speed
day.
ahead towards Christmas.
Yes, indeed. So, Pastor Steve came out of he was kind of all over the place. And Amanda will share those with us in a second. But the sermon title was In Need of Trust, which I thought was timely.
Yes.
Because I think that, like we've been discussing, there's a lot of turmoil, chaos surrounding the birth of Christ. Also, every day of the week.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so he shared several verses, if you want to.
Sure. He shared Psalm 145, 8 through 9, 1 John 1 through 5, 2 Peter 3 through 9, or 3, 9, sorry. James 1:17, Numbers 23:19, Psalm 68:19 through 20, and 1 John 4:9.
Yeah.
Really, really love that he shared so many verses today or yesterday.
There were a lot of great comforting words in there, I thought. And it seems like he talked about seasonally, how people get anxious, depressed, they isolate, they kind of don't look to the birth of Christ, perhaps. I don't want to blanket everybody, but a lot of folks don't find comfort in that miraculous event. And I think that when you talk about trust, I just kind of popped into my head some of the ways that we will, I have trust issues, trust the process. Don't you trust me? Don't you trust yourself? I mean, those are all man-made things that when you think about that, I'm going to just only trust myself. Well, that's probably not the best course of action. But I wanted to read Numbers 23:19. It says, God is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change his mind. Has he ever spoken and failed to act? Has he ever promised and not carried it through? So if you can't trust in God, knowing that he never wavers, I'm not quite sure what to suggest to you folks.
Right?
Because he can't be more clear. And then, we were talking about Mary's trust in the Lord.
It was such a good, when he spoke about that yesterday, I was like, come on now. Why can't we all be like that?
Yeah. Imagine how frightened she was. And again, Steve painted that picture of those times. She was a unmarried teenager who, getting pregnant out of marriage she'd be stoned to death.
Right.
Right. But in Luke 1:38, I am the Lord's, this is Mary speaking, I am the Lord's servant. May everything you have said about me come true. Just total trust and faith in what the angel said to her.
Right.
So, just one little piece of that in my life would be
huge.
Huge.
And I think sometimes we don't even realize that we're not trusting, right?
Yeah.
Like you go through something and you think that you're trusting, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, heck, I'm doing this in my own strength. I'm trying to control things or fight my own battle. And really, we just need to be continually reminded of who God says that he is.
Yep.
And so, again, it comes back to spending time with him, being in his word, abiding. We keep hearing that over and over again. And it's like, you'd think at some point we would get it, right?
Correct. Well, I think, too, when we find ourselves in a frustrating time, a difficult time where we're feeling isolated, we're again, trusting ourselves to pull us out of that, or some process to pull us out of that. And when we find ourselves not trusting God, I think, again, I think we talked about it last week, we just kind of spiral, right? It actually makes it worse. And it's, I think something that I do is just kind of get in a really quiet zone and start having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, help me get out of the way is how it usually starts.
Right.
Because I'm my own worst enemy
Yeah.
historically. So,
yeah, I went through something this past summer, and I just remember walking on the trail in downtown Bothell and just crying out to God. And I just think all those people probably thought, who is that crazy lady?
I'm going to steer
But
clear.
I was just in tears and just crying out. And it just, reminds me that we have to be patient and wait for his timing. And just trust that it's that he loves us more than we will ever know, and it's going to work out the way that he wants it to.
That's part of it, because God's love is difficult for us to comprehend.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing to have in your head, right?
Right.
I don't understand how you can love me through this.
True.
But he does.
Right.
And I think that is a stumbling block to our own happiness and well-being, is that we don't fully embrace his word, his promise.
Right. We don't.
Yeah. I was going to quote Corrie ten Boom. I quoted her, last month again.
Yeah.
But this was another quote of hers. Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. I thought that was pretty impactful.
Yeah.
Because we just can't do it on our own. And not to be, wah wah.
No.
But I think that God's, I guess the question I want to pose is, has God given you a reason to trust him? And I think the answer to that is obviously yes. But has he ever given you a reason to mistrust him? So,
something to ponder.
Something to ponder. And with that, unless you've got something else you want to add?
I just think, again, we just got to wait, trust, and remember that God loves us.
Yep. So, like we like to say when we're closing out our program for the day, we are...